My name is Bo Cisco. I'm the owner and lead instructor at Cisco Strategic Studies. Cisco Strategic Studies, or CSS, is a behavioral analysis training group that teaches law enforcement officers how to read body language in order to do their job better, keep them safer. The key element is keeping them safer. The classes are basically lined up and teach 4 different concepts. The one is understanding basic body language, what people are doing around you and how it pertains to you from a law enforcement standpoint. Now, body language, the way I teach it, is not specific to law enforcement, but I'm teaching it to law enforcement, so we go on that angle of training. But it can be used in every facet of life, from your personal life to dealing with your coworkers, your family, and also people that you may encounter on the street, both the good and the bad. The second is understanding deception techniques from a body language standpoint. Now, there's great classes out there. Interview interrogation classes are one of them. They talk about, when you have someone in an interrogation room, how to tell when they're being deceptive, how to cut through that deception. Well, I know a lot of officers who work in a road patrol. Most of their career, they spend very little time in an interrogation room. And if you look at law enforcement training in general, how many people out there that are law enforcement officers have been through behavioral analysis training, have understood body language in their academy or their more basic police training, or is something you had to hunt down? I know there's not many classes out there when it comes to behavioral analysis techniques. So we think about it, what do we do more often? I've spent hundreds, probably thousands of hours on a shooting range, on a driving track, rolling around on the mats, learning how to fight, which is great, and you need to learn these topics. But let's think about, how many times am I going to get in a shooting in my career? Statistically, none. How many times am I going to fight? Well, I've been a law enforcement officer since 1999. Yeah, I've laid my hands on quite a few people, but it's not the norm. How many times have I dealt with other individuals? Well, that's every day. Every hour of my day, I'm dealing with somebody. We all deal with people every second of the time we're out there, whether it's our coworker, our boss, or people on the street. How much training did you receive on how to understand them fully? It's lacking. The training is lacking in law enforcement. I'm trying to change that. So the second part is going to be deception detection. Not in an interrogation room, but everywhere. From a traffic stop, to dealing with people around you, to talking to witnesses or victims, to dealing with people also with interrogation rooms, but also in traffic stops. The way that I teach the deception part of the class deals a lot with just how the body works and perception to having to lie to somebody. So how you're dealing with somebody, or where you're dealing with somebody, whether it be on a traffic stop, determining whether a victim is telling the truth or not, or dealing with a hostile person in an interrogation room or other such setting, these key concepts will take you from one spectrum to the other. And also in your personal life as well. They're core concepts that I feel are the foundations of learning deception techniques. There's 11 of them that I will go over with you. And they're easy to remember. They deal with the body language, so it comes all natural. The next one is pre-attack indicators and understanding violence. I feel there's a big disconnect in younger people now. When I went to high school, I'm just going to give you one example. When I was in high school, if I was to be attacked by somebody, someone came on to fight me and they start punching me, and I stand up and defend myself. I fight back until I've defended myself. That person has stopped or the fight's broken up. Principals, teachers would separate you, bring the principal's office. They realize, oh, you were defending yourself. You brush it back off. You go back to class. The other person is suspended or disciplined in some way, shape, or form. In speaking with a lot of the younger generations, there's a lot of schools out there that if you're caught fighting at all, defending yourself or the aggressor, you're expelled. I have personally been on calls where not only are they expelled, but they called in law enforcement, school police to investigate criminal matters. Okay, if I am a good kid and I want to go to college, I want to be a cop, I want to do something good in my life, if I get expelled, that's going to put that into jeopardy. What are younger people supposed to do today when confronted with violence? Roll up in a ball? Surrender? Yeah, that's kind of what society and some schools are teaching. Not every school, but there's a culture of this going around. So now we learn about violence. Okay, Well, in my generation, you kind of grew up in it. Fistfights weren't that big of a deal. But now they are today. So what are newer officers doing when they come in contact with the violence on the streets? They may never have been in a fight. They may never have been punched in the face. They have never maybe felt that fear, stress, anxiety of engaging yourself in a physical confrontation with someone where you don't know where it's going to end. It's not putting on the gloves and getting on the mat in the academy. You know no one's going to die. You're just, the worst, you're going to get banged up a little bit, but they're going to break it up before anything bad happens. On the street, there's no ref, there's no instructor. So there's going to be a lot of anxiety. What is that new officer likely to do? Well, I'm going to give two options. They're going to overreact, which we see today. A lot of police shootings. Some older officers, you may look at him going, I'm not saying he's wrong, but I think based on my experience, I could have did it better. Or they're going to underreact, which is worse. I'm not saying they're all going to, but we see the potential for this stress to build up in newer officers where they're going to over or underreact. And a lot of it's coming from they just don't have the experience with violence. Now, part of my class cannot be that I take people out and just have someone beat them up. I tried, people aren't paying for that class. So I had to change it to a little bit to say, what I'm going to do is show you the body mechanics of what you're looking at, of violence, of showing you this is what violence looks like. This is when it's coming. And you can choose your reaction time. You engage first, you create distance, you wait for your backup, you change your direction of how you're engaging with this person because you see the indicators that this person is contemplating violence upon you, and you figure out how you want to do it, how you feel comfortable based on what your capabilities are. Because you know your capabilities better than anybody. Understand what you're looking at and determine, is it within your capability to handle, or do you need additional resources? And that's what it is. That's what the pre-attack indicators is giving officers, not just new officers that may not be experienced, senior officers as well, because knowledge is better. It doesn't matter where you are in your career. Statistically, if you look at officers that are shot and killed in the line of duty or that get in gun battles that don't make it, a lot of times those officers, statistically, 7 and 14 years. You would believe 7 to 14 years, you're in the prime of your career, but a lot of times complacency. A lot of times you've been there, you've done that, you know the job very well, and for all intents and purposes, you do know the job very well. Complacency is something you're never going to get out of you. You'll hear people say, never get complacent. I plan on doing a 30-year career, which I am 17 years into. I can't tell you I've never been complacent. I can't tell you that I won't be complacent tomorrow. I think if you're never complacent a day in your 30-year career, what are you going to be like when you retire? It's natural to get comfortable in certain situations, especially when you do them a lot. Take a traffic officer who does 10,000 traffic stops in a career. There's going to be times of complacency. There's going to be that day that you're just off your game. Understanding behaviors around you, understanding body language, understanding the motivations that people are telling you they're having based on their body movements is one key to snap you out of complacency. Is to make you aware of what's going on when you're not having that day, but you realize those body indicators believe in me, he's contemplating violence upon me, I better get back on my A game. One way to battle complacency. The next one to be is situational awareness. Now this is a newer part of the class that I feel today is more important than ever. You know, terrorism is a little bit more prevalent today than it was when I started law enforcement career. There's different elements that people have to look for. We also have homegrown versus extremists, but we see it all the time. I want you to think about this when you're watching people. Do you think any of these terrorist attacks ever just happened with no planning? No. They were watching. They were doing surveillance. They were practicing. They probably walked by law enforcement officers every single time. We missed it. Sometimes we don't understand what people are doing, what surveillance behaviors, what counter-surveillance behaviors look like. Understanding how people's reaction to you lets you know what's going on in their mind. Are they watching you? Are they trying to avoid you? There's behaviors associated with all of this. And these behaviors are very easily recognizable if you know what you're looking for. Now, am I saying that every time you see this, it has to be a terrorist, or go tackle him, or go shoot him? No, but it tells you, hey, who to look for. When you walk into a room there's one person in there that wants to hurt you, you should be able to pick that one person out way before it happens. Most people are not master at hiding their body language. In fact, I've seen people that do this for a long time give away their body language very easily. It's hard because it's what's going on in your head. Now, I just wanted to take that time to tell you a little about what my class can offer you, can offer your agency. I teach classes in the variety of formats, 24 to 40 hours, but now you've seen what I can do. I'll customize a class based on you or your agency's needs. Feel free to contact me about any kind of training aspects or questions you may have. I'm more than happy to answer anyone's questions. My name and number are on Cisco Strategic Studies is the website. You can also find information down below and a link to my website. Thank you very much and be safe.